real ones? Shut up, Stu. Hi. Hello, everybody. Hi. It's your old pal Z-Bubs. I got a message from God. I don't really believe in God. But tonight I kind of did. You know, like in Avatar when all those dandelion things, those fluffy things land on Jake? I was listening. Just listening to SRBG. Okay, so, good evening, everyone. I hope that there are people listening who love me. And tonight I wanted to give up. Today was quite a difficult day. I went down to my push-ups. I said something that may have saved Stu's life, but who knows? He cuddled with me. I said, Stu, did I just save you? Did I just save you? I complained about our neighbors on Reddit, and I'm distinctly not saying their names right now. And I got downvoted off of Reddit, basically. I had like 6 comments that were all threats, seemingly. There was one nice one, but they had a cat on their head that looked just like Todd that said, just deal with it yourself. But they said it in a nice way. They said, just use earplugs and put curtains over the window where they shine the lights in. And I should talk quieter, actually. But all the rest were saying, you're delusional, you're insane. How do you know that your neighbors are harassing you? You have no idea if that's true. And all those comments, I posted this in our city group in Reddit, and I had 2,500 people view the comment, and then every one of the comments was dismissing me, mocking me, and they all had like 18 upvotes, 10 upvotes, 7 upvotes. Everyone, it could have been the same 18 people, but the top rated comment was, how do you know that they're harassing you? And I said, because they sprayed mud on our window and they said 2 rude comments while I was walking by them. And then they honk multiple times a day with their key fob, and they don't even go outside. And I haven't heard any responses since then. But I said to one of them, they said, you're paranoid and delusional. And I said, it would only take like 3 nominations. I mean, I'm not asking for much here. All I'm asking is that you other local gang stalkers nominate our neighbors to be gang stalked. I mean, is that really such a big deal? And I felt like the top rated comment was asking that. They said, what's the top reason why you think that they're doing this on purpose? So I said those reasons. I said what the comments were, and thinking that maybe we'll get them gang stalked. But maybe they already are gang stalked. And then this other comment said, you sound like you have psychosis and paranoid delusion, which I have been diagnosed with a psychotic disorder, which is so funny. And to that comment I responded, I'm not asking for much, I'm just asking for 3 nominations. Isn't that how it works? And then I went back and edited the comment, and I said, this may have saved poor old Stu over here. I said, actually, and right after I wrote the edit, Stu came over and cuddled with me. I thought, Stu, was I just saving you? I mean, or, I don't know. Did that happen inadvertently? And now there's a picture on the TV that reminds me of Chelsea. I wondered if she's a covert, malignant, pro-social narcissist. But I said, edit, yeah, I don't know why they're doing this, so having them nominated is irrelevant. I take it back. And then I said, how's your Christmas? Which was a play to my friend Mark, who got ass searched at the airport and interrogated for like 2 hours. And then he was in the elevator going out the building with the guy who had been interrogating him. And he just casually says to him, to demoralize him, he says, so how was your Christmas? And, I said it completely out of context. I'm sure people were going to construe it as a covert rape threat. But I said it in the context of the guy was calling me crazy, so I just, said something totally nuts to him. And then I tried to look up on Quora, on ChatGPT, why Quora is so much better than Reddit. Why YouTube is not necessarily better than Reddit, but what's the deal with these different sites? And when I complained about being gang stalked, I didn't use the word gang stalking. On the Facebook group, people were really nice to me. I had a ton of people who were really nice to me. And on Reddit, everyone was really mean to me, except for maybe one comment, but she had a picture of a cat that looked just like Todd right on her head. And, which is like, they had already been threatening me that if you post this, right after I had posted it, I had been getting threats already, that it's going to be messy and it's going to be bad, and remember Todd, okay? And to that person, I just said thank you, because they gave me a good response. I thought she might be nice. She has to give a veiled threat, but the real message she's giving me is nice. And so tonight, I got pad thai. You're not supposed to trust anything I say tonight. I'm not sure how true this is, but since I've eaten cooked food, I now say don't trust anything I say when I eat raw food. How are you going to know what to trust? In fact, this is your test to make you not be able to trust me, so you have to trust yourself. Because I'm tired of never mind. Okay, I was gonna say, I was hoping that you need me. I'm tired of being a responsible person in your life. I'm tired of being a rock in your life, a grounding force of reality, because it makes me resent myself for letting you down. I feel accountable to you. Now, I said to ChatGPT, is this narcissism? That if I say this to you, that if I just say I'm going to do a goal and then I don't do it, you're going to be like, oh man, I was counting on you to do that. I wanted to see an example of someone who follows through. I was doing it with you. Every time you did a day of your goal, I did a day of my goal, and you were my partner in goals. You were my accountability partner, and you just fucked up. If I say that, is your response going to be, well, who are you to talk down to me? I don't need your help. Fuck you. You arrogant, self-entitled, one-upmanship showman. And ChatGPT was like, no, there's probably people who like your channel, and it doesn't make you have a messiah complex to do that. And so, because I was thinking in kind of dichotomous thinking, I found out dichotomous isn't a word. Dichotomistic, I don't know. dichotomous thinking, all or nothing thinking, that if you eat your diet that goes off of your diet, if you eat your bad diet, then you might as well just jack off too. And so I had a pad thai, and my mom was like, she got a shawarma from DT Shawarma, and the girl made it so bad. She like threw like everything on one side, and she wasn't careful. And she like, you know, I was like really present with my mom. I was like, oh wow, that really sucks, because I was so excited. You know how like you're lifeless and you feel dead inside, but then as soon as you get the weed, even though you have an hour drive home, even though you're still gonna smoke it later that day, or like, you know, in 20 minutes when you get home, as soon as you have it, you're like, thank God I have it. And then your friend talks to you, and normally you'd say, oh yeah, that's cool, oh yeah, that's nice. But now you're like, oh really, let me see, wow, that's amazing. And you're totally present with them because you're happy, because you know you're gonna go get high. I was totally present with my mom. I'm like, I got my pad thai coming, I can totally be like the best friend in the world, I can be like a real person now, I'm super fucking happy. I was just waiting, and I barely drank any water today. And so I have been eating a lot of salt. Basically I ate an avocado salad, and I put salt on it with like fucking extra avocado. And I was like, I'm done. You know, I was like, it's a slippery slope, and now I need cooked food. And then I thought, and now jack off. But a lot of what had set me off, I had been feeling kind of upset on my bike ride, but strangely good too. I had a good bike ride. It was a sad bike ride. I processed a lot of sadness. I posted a video of it today, but then later on, after I had posted, or let me say that again, I posted the first 30 minutes of a 2-hour bike ride. By the second hour, I had already been feeling really bad. The first 30 minutes, I was pretty happy. And then I felt really terrible. And then by the end of it, I came home. I had been feeling a little bit better because I got some signs that made me feel good. I didn't want to talk about this, but that's what had happened. I got some signs that made me think everything is not as bad as I thought it was. And I was really relieved. But then I wondered, was that a stressful thing for me? Do I have a fear of success? But we had some lettuce from my mom's garden, from my mom's boyfriend's garden. And so I had an avocado salad, and then I was like, okay, I need cooked food now. I need to have a celebration meal. I had pad thai. And then I checked my Reddit, and I saw that I had all these responses, like just like 100% negative responses. Of course, downvoted to 0, like basically like bullied off of Reddit. I mean, I'm sure it was all gang stalkers in the comments, but it just felt like this really sucks. So I was feeling depersonalized or demoralized, and like everything is completely fucked, everything is useless, everything is bizarre. And I watched some videos on bullying, And there's a conspiracy where you can ask everyone in a room, does bullying exist? And everyone will say yes. Like, just about everyone will say yes. And then you ask everyone, okay, point to who the bully is in this room. And no one will ever point. And does bullying exist in school? Yes. Does bullying exist in class? Yes. Everyone says these things. A majority of people say these things. Now everyone, even a single person, just point to who the bully is. Nobody will do it. And there's a certain conspiracy among everyone to keep silent. And so I was like, the reason why, according to ChatGPT, that everyone fucked with me on Reddit, but on Facebook they didn't, was because on Reddit everything is anonymous. Whereas on Facebook, you have a name, you have an address, you have an account, you have everything that makes you act as you would in person. And when you have a mask, you act as part of the mob mentality. And then there's a concept that I heard today that bullies only act in groups. That a bully will never fight you one-on-one. They'll only ever attack you in a group. And so I was feeling kind of hurt, kind of angry, but I was also thinking this is so cliche. And strangely, when I post on Quora, I have a lot of support on Quora, and I have a lot of friends on Quora. And so when someone gang stalks me on Quora, I kind of feel like it's a house full of TIs, and a gang stalker knocks and starts causing trouble, and I'm just like, but you're a part of the out group here. Like, you're not even, in this world, you're not even popular. We outnumber you in this group. And so there's a different psychology to it that I was expecting on Reddit. And right after, I went to Quora kind of to reground myself and to say like, hey guys, I just got bullied. Is anyone here to be my friend? And so I was feeling like really fucking depersonalized, and I was thinking about jacking it and how I would feel really humiliated about doing that. And so I watched SRMBG, which is this channel that you just heard for a moment at the beginning here, SRMBG stands for semen retention and big gains. And he's someone who he knows over 30 people who were murdered. He's from the hood, and he's smart, and he's strong, and he's really, really hot. And he has a family, he has an apartment, and he's a targeted individual, and he believes in the Most High. And he was talking about how, as a targeted individual, they want to test if you believe in the Most High, does it help you? So they'll put atheists in the targeting program, and they'll put chosen ones in the targeting program, and they'll see, does it make a difference? And he said that the kind of atheists who they'll put in the program are not the ones who used to be gang stalkers, but ones who have never went against the chosen ones. And they'll see if the chosen ones fare better, because they want to see, does it really matter if you believe in the Most High? This is what SRMBG is saying. He says 9 times out of 10, and he would say 10 times out of 10, but he doesn't say that, so 9 times out of 10. This is what he says, that the chosen ones will do better. And tonight he made a video, and I'm thinking I'm an atheist here, but then tonight I had some kind of cosmic God belief, or belief in God, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. That I just chose this random video to watch by him, and that and he was just talking about how, and it wasn't part of the title at all, and he's just talking about how he goes to the gym, and this guy says to him, and keep in mind, he knows his brother murdered people, and his brother also got murdered, and he's the type who says, if you say something about my mama, I'm gonna punch you in the jaw. And he's the type who he said, anyone who had anything to do with my brother, they ain't here no more. You know what I'm saying? And, I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's saying that he has enough connections that he killed anyone who had anything to do with his brother's murder. Or if he's saying that the Most High took them out. Because he talks all about that kind of stuff. Like, the Most High will take revenge for you. So I don't know what he's saying, but it's relevant to the story that he's at the gym and he's like really strong. He does like 1,000 push-ups a day. He's like that kind of person. And this guy says, your muscles are really big, but your brain is really small. Your brain is smaller than your muscles. That's what he says. He says literally, your muscles are huge, but your brain is small. Your brain is smaller than your muscles. And all his friends, and they all have nice cars. They're all rich. They're all popular. And SRBG is, he gets by. They don't have the flashy car. They live in an apartment. But, he provides for his family. He's like, but he doesn't have the flashy car type thing. All these guys, they have flashy cars, which that money comes from gang stalking him. And they're all laughing at him. And then he says, what did you say? And he says, again, you got big muscles, but your brain is smaller than your muscles. And then he leaves, and then he goes and approaches him in the locker room, and he says, don't ever clown on me like that again in front of people. And he says it in a certain tone, like he gets up in his face. And the guy says, you got big muscles, but your brain is smaller than your muscles. And he is like mad. And I forget what he did. I think he didn't do anything after that. But he had like gotten up in the guy's face and basically threatened him. And then he went home that night, and all those guys who were at the gym, they came back in his dream. And he said, that was the first time they ever got me in my dream. They infected my spiritual energy. And they had done it by using a trick. That they said something that's technically true, that your muscles are bigger than your brain, which is technically true. And because the devil means accuser. It originates from the word slanderer. And God says you're not supposed to lie. They played a trick on SRBG to make him lie. Because what the guy said to insult him was technically true. Now, I thought this is completely stupid, okay? At first, I thought, okay, this is completely stupid. Obviously, the real meaning of the message was, you're stupid. And SRBG must be stupid to think that what the guy was saying was, technically, your brain is smaller than your muscles. Clearly, he's veiling his insult to hide behind plausible deniability. But because he technically didn't say that, he made SRBG react as if he did say that. And so SRBG fell for a trap that he broke a spiritual law, and he got bad karma by threatening that guy as if he had insulted him. Like you say, that's a veiled insult, but the true meaning is the real insult. But that's not true. And this is how I used to think when I first realized what gang stalking is. I never took it seriously psychologically. I never took it seriously, even a slight bit. Whenever I would get veiled death threats, I never took them seriously. And the reason why is because the real meaning is nothing, and the veiled meaning is the threat. The veiled meaning is the insult, but the real meaning is nothing. Because if someone doesn't have the accountability, it negates their message. And so anyways, that's how I used to feel. And I think that's how my mom feels. I'm like, why are you gaslighting me? You're always saying that this doesn't mean this. Like, clearly they're harassing me. Clearly this means this, and it sounds like she's gaslighting me, like saying that no, gang stalking doesn't exist. But you could take it in a completely different way, that if someone doesn't have the accountability, because language, intent, meaning, it only counts when there's accountability. Like, that's what counting is, like accountability. And so if someone says, I love you, with a note that doesn't sign their signature, I love you, signed anonymous, you can kind of piece together who it is, but I'll never actually tell you. Or I hate you and I'm going to kill you, but signed anonymous. Well, it's so cowardly. It's so indirect that it's not worth considering even to begin with. It's invalid to begin with. You'd be crazy to consider it to begin with. You wouldn't be crazy for the reason that they say you're crazy. You'd be crazy on the spiritual dimension. That why would you give your power to someone who doesn't deserve it, who doesn't meet you face to face? It's like they want the reward without paying the price. They want the reward of scaring you without actually, attacking you, or the reward of your attention without actually getting it. And so once I started paying attention to it, a lot of TIs, they say just ignore it. And there are many responses to that. A lot of people say, ignore it, what are you, crazy? How could I ignore it? They make it so that you can't ignore it. And but for a long time, I knew that it was intentional. I had many threats from people, and it was easier when I knew the person. For example, I'm thinking of my crazy brother Cash, and he threatened me so many times in very cowardly, veiled ways. And I always said, you're so mentally ill, you're so cowardly, that I would never take a threat from you seriously. And, even if you go psycho and actually carry through with it, that'll be a surprise to me, because you're so pathetic. Like he'd say, guess how far my laser pointer points? Did you know I got a gun? Anyway, so how are you doing in the basement at your mom's house? You know, things like that. And I'd be like, yeah, but he'd space it out, but it would be not that, it wouldn't be that close together, but he'd space out like comments like that. And I was like, sometimes I got really scared. I'd be scared to walk around a corner. I'd think he'd be there. And, sometimes it really scared me. But a lot of the times I just thought, you're someone I've known for a long time, and I've lived with you. I know what kind of person you are to live with. It's almost like your younger brother tries being a villain in James Bond. It's almost like you're James Bond and your younger brother tries being Blofeld, or whatever that guy's name is. They're like, I'm the orchestrator of all your pain. And it's like, I remember playing video games with you, and like you would throw the controller and like have a tantrum and start crying. Like, I remember when I burnt a CD for you and it didn't have the song you wanted on it, and you started crying. And you sulked, and you pouted for a day, and you told on me for that. You said I did it on purpose. And I know how pathetic you are. And now you're trying to be like a supervillain in James Bond. You're like, I'm the orchestrator of your destruction. I'm Professor Chaos. Hey, oh, I bet you'd like to know how far my laser pointer shoots, right? Did you know I don't have a license for my gun? I was going for this rich guy once, and I had to steal a bike. And then I felt so bad, because the guy who stole the bike didn't deserve anything bad to happen to him. But it was an emergency. I was like running. So I went back and I put the bike back where I stole it from. I left a note saying, sorry for stealing your bike. Anyway, how are you doing in your basement? I'm like, that'll be the day that I take you seriously. And, but eventually I think you do. I don't know if it's what it is. Of course there's a voice in the back of my head that says, when you're being harassed non-stop. But then, how can you ignore it? Every day someone's waking you up. There's, it's just constant. Everywhere you go, there's something or other. But and then that there's intent behind it. But I really believe that there is something behind the intent that gets at you psychologically, a righteous indignation. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, that when you have a neighbor, for example, say your neighbor is not a gang stalker, and you got cars going by your house, revving and honking and making all kinds of noise, and that neighbor is getting all that noise too. We had this car across the street from us. There's this old folks building behind us, and there was this car. Every night it would rev the engine. It had no muffler on it, and you could hear this car from a mile away. And every night at like midnight and at like 3 a.m, they would sit, and I can't imagine how hated the handler is who did this. And I can only hope and wonder if they're targeted now. That this guy would sit out, and he was like 90 years old, and he would sit out in his car and he would go, and he would do this for 15, 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes in a night. And he would do it every single night. And I went out one time to film. Of course, if I were to go out to film him, he'd stop doing it pretty quickly. But I filmed him doing it once for maybe about 7 minutes. And there was another night I went out to film him, but I didn't post it. And I saw someone else sitting in a car beside him, and it's like 3 a.m, and they're sitting in the passenger's seat in the car behind him. And when he stops revving, the car in the passenger's seat, parked beside him, gets out, as if they had been watching him the whole time, as if they had been getting evidence on it. And so I called the city. I sent them the YouTube video of the proof. I said, here, look, here's a video of this guy revving his engine for 10 minutes in the parking lot at midnight. And you can hear how loud it is. And can you please go over to this building? I called the property management of the building, and I said, you're not going to be able to do anything because he's an employee of CSIS, who's in Canada. CSIS is the CIA, and they're higher ranked than you, and they're going to tell you that there's nothing that you can do because this is how we do things. But I'd like to just file the complaint. So the guy comes, I see him park outside, he walks over with his clipboard, nothing happens, they just, I don't get any response from him, he just keeps revving the engine until he finally dies, and now he's not there anymore. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I think for someone who's not targeted, they don't have the same upset because they don't think that it's for them. It's not personal for them. Or even for a gang stalker, they say, oh, okay, there's the punishment, but it's not for me. It's almost like Dad is screaming, but he's not screaming at me, he's screaming at the other person. I still hear the screaming. I still feel the uncomfortableness of it, but it's not directed at me. So I'm fine, so I'm safe. And there's kind of a psychological toll as the targeted individual that you feel that it's all directed at you and it's all supposed to make you feel bad, even though we're all getting the same noise harassment, we're all getting the same planes flying over us, we're all getting the same horns honking at us, we're all getting a car revving in their parking lot for 45 minutes a night, which they're across the street and they're literally parked right next to a building full of people who were getting way more noise than me. And so, why do you care? Obviously, I'm separating the fact of raw physical torture from feeling unwelcomed or feeling butthurt. Why would you be butthurt about it? And so today I was butthurt over the Reddit comments. And I said, why are you butthurt over this? And then, so we get to the God part. SRBG is talking about how, I felt like bullied. I felt like really sad or felt really depressed that all these guys were bullying me. Can you believe it? I was like, yeah, I feel like that too. It helped me so much. He was talking about going through the same thing I went through. And I think SRMBG is really cool. And I was like, that's your sign. That's your sign not to jack off, remember? Oh my God. I'm loving these bubblies. Da 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 do. Okay. Let's see. I just have to have some food here. I could make a burger. I have such a congested throat. Yeah. If I could just stop coughing. As long as I can stop coughing, then I don't need to eat a burger. And so I went on Reddit to find some porn, and I was imagining a rape fantasy, and it was based on real events, not like something akin to waking up and you're half asleep and the girl thinks you're sleeping, and she tries to not use a condom suddenly. She tries to suddenly slip it in, or something to that effect. And I got a good one by Din Venom's ex-pig one time. I was telling her no one time, and she wouldn't take no for an answer. And so I just laid there while she did her thing. And, I never knew how much that, it was just, I was like, if I wanted to, I could fight you. But, I was like, technically I could fantasize to that if I wanted to. But, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that I was looking at these girls and I was thinking, if it wasn't for this rape fantasy, I wouldn't be jacking off. And I thought, yeah, but it's not a fantasy. You actually have memories of this. You're reliving memories, and it's super hot. And then I thought, yeah, I know. But if it wasn't for the rape part of it, it wouldn't be super hot. And you're always talking about how sex without love is bondage and you don't like it. Sex without love isn't spiritual. This is like the most definition possible of sex without love. This is like abjectly what it means to have sex without love. So, what do you think? And then I was like, based just on the girl herself, I wouldn't be jacking it. Why not? Because she's not hot enough? No, it's not because she's not hot enough. It's because there's no love. Well, if there's no love and that negates you wanting to jack off, then why does hate make you jack off? Well, because hate is more stimulating than the absence of love. Ah. But I thought hate is the opposite of love. Or hate is part of love, therefore, that opposites are the same. That if you're something's opposite, you're the same. For example, pain and pleasure are the same, but they're just reciprocal sides of each other. They're two sides of the same coin. Love and hate are the same coin. And so there is lots of love in hate. Hatred is actually full of love. It's just upside down. And so it's kind of like substitute love, but it's kind of like real love. It's like residual love. Someone mistreats you, it turns you on. It means they love you, but they don't really love you. They hate you, but that still turns you on. And, the fact that you masturbate to it later is the point. I thought, no, love isn't the opposite of hate. Hate is the absence of love. And I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to be too philosophical. Just speaking from my own experience and not trying to be a wise guru, I basically just looked at these girls and I'm like, if I had to jack off to you without the fantasy of being raped by you, I actually wouldn't do it. And that's the bottom line. And then I thought, okay, well, but I couldn't, but I have had experiences that I have had a lot of sexual abuse, and it was really hot. And so I want to remember that. And then I thought, even those girls who sexually abused me, if it wasn't for the sexual abuse, I also wouldn't masturbate to them either. And then I was like, oh. But I had already given myself permission. I had already gotten over the fear of losing my morality, of losing my confidence in myself. I said, you can jack off if you want. I don't care anymore. I don't know if we're being slowly poisoned over here or if I'm just dehydrated. My mom has always had a cough. It could run in the family. Or we're just getting slowly poisoned all the time. We just have caustic air all the time. I have no idea. But something has to do with hydration too. If I don't drink enough water, I'm dehydrated. And then, I'm congested. And so once I figured that out, I turned the porn off without any effort. I said, you made it. It's 11 p.m. You're going to start making your video now. You made it to the point of the video. And I was really happy. I was like, yeah, you had a celebration with some cooked food. That was really good. SRMBG drinks alcohol sometimes, but he doesn't jack off. And I don't even think he busts a nut with his girlfriend. Except when he makes kids. I think he takes it really... He talked about some gang stalkers trying to get him to bust a nut. And he was really angry about it. He's like, listen to me, man. I don't waste my time. Listen to me. I wouldn't be doing this. I was like, yeah, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see that you have something that I don't have. Like you got some clarity or something. He says some things I don't agree with. Like, there's someone with like photoshopped fingers, and like really long fingers. And he's like, oh, you see, they're a demon. They're an alien. I was like, no, that's just Photoshop. But, a lot of what he said, just because he says some stuff I don't think is true, doesn't mean that, like, everything else he says, a lot of stuff he says, it's really great. And so, that doesn't make me like him any more or less. It's not like I'm looking for a savior. Like, I'm not looking to be an enlightened slave with an enlightened master. So I don't need to be like, oh, I can't listen to him anymore because he said something I don't agree with. I'm only listening to him as a friend. So whether we agree with each other is not even relevant, because friends are not supposed to agree with everything that they say. Like, you're not supposed to agree with everything that your friend says. And so because I don't have that perspective, it actually doesn't matter to me. So when he says something that I do agree with, I can also say, oh, I never thought of that. I'm really thankful that you brought that to my attention. That's a really good way of looking at it. And so tonight he brought that up, that when the person says something with a veil, the veiled thing is not the true meaning. The true meaning is the literal thing that they say, which means nothing. It's like not even worth paying attention to. And I know there's TIs who say, but you have to pay attention. They force you to pay attention to it. They put it right in your face and they make you pay attention to it. Yeah, but pay attention to it as it means nothing. Say, okay, you're hijacking my attention to tell me something that means nothing. And it's one thing with your gay brother who is saying like, I'm gonna kill you and whatnot. And you're like, you know, the fact that you're saying nothing and you really want me to think you're saying something is really pathetic, because I know you completely, and that's really pathetic. Hold on, my mind is just totally slipping me right now. I'm going blank. I guess because you know them so well, because when you burnt them a CD, you remember them pouting and crying. So you really know how meaningless what they're saying is. You could see the gears working in their head. But sometimes when you don't know someone and they're posturing like they're the Wizard of Oz, you might have a tendency to believe them. People say when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And then the final thing that happened. So I'm like, okay, so I'm giving myself permission to jack it. I'm not even really horny. I'm just feeling hurt from all the mean comments on Reddit. I might be having a success barrier. I'm feeling confused about my situation in life, feeling demoralized and dehumanized, like nothing matters anyway. I'm feeling a vague sense of responsibility to the YouTube audience to have some sense of consistent progress, and also not wanting to let people down, and also not wanting to let myself down, and also having a better video, a better quality of mind. I'm not even thinking at all when I start almost jacking. I'm not even thinking even one bit that there's going to be consequences to jacking, that my mind is going to be more retarded after, I'm going to be more heavy, I'm not going to think clearly, I'm going to have less of a good memory, I'm not going to be very happy with myself in the morning, and I'm not considering literally any of the consequences, even for like 1 second, you know, and those come hard. And also after I had given, you know, speaking of coming hard, after I had given myself permission, I thought, I'm not even going to come hard anymore, because the fourth wall is already broken. I'm looking at these girls now, and I'm realizing that it's only the rape fantasy that's making me like this. and that's the only thing that's pushing me over the edge. And that's part of my trauma, like my trauma bond. And if it wasn't for that, just merely a video of them wouldn't make me jack off. And I'm not really that impressed by the whole rape thing anyway. You know, on some level, well, why is it hot to get abused? An abuser is weak. Have you ever thought about it logically? That you want to be taken. You want to have all the responsibility taken off of you. It's exciting. But really think about, what is the kind of person who rapes somebody? That's not a strong person. That's a weak person. And is that a beautiful person? And how deep is beauty? I mean, obviously you'd say, well, there's some very beautiful people who are rapists, who are pieces of shit. I think George Clooney is a piece of shit. He's very gorgeous, but he's a complete piece of shit. He's disgusting. I didn't see it for a long time, but now I'm just like, oh. And it wasn't South Park that did it either. You know, I saw how arrogant he is. Finally, I saw it. One day I evolved past him one day, which isn't saying much. But one day I evolved past him and I said, oh, now I see you. Oh my God, you're disgusting. You're like fucking heinously disgusting. But when I was a teenager, I never saw it. I was like, oh, George Clooney, he's so hot. Oh my God, he's so suave. And now I'm like, he's literally not worth talking about. Yeah, he's a child, is what I was gonna say. But and how deep is beauty? I mean, so there are people who are skin deep beautiful, but they're nasty people. But if you go stronger, or sorry, if you go deeper, there's someone who, in those kind of people, you think, well, I'd love to have a baby with them. I mean, ultimately, that's what the attraction is. But then would you really? Like, imagine what that would be like. You know, they would have no depth. They would have no height. They would have plastic love. They would have plastic validation. They would have no self. They're just hollow. They're just vapid. How ugly is that? And have you ever spent time with these people? You know, have you ever gotten in a relationship with someone who's super hot, but they have nothing, literally nothing to offer except sex? Have you ever seen how pathetic that is? And meanwhile, you're shaking at the knees talking to them. You're like terrified of rejection, and you're crying they don't love you. Do they love me? Do they love me not? You're working up the courage to ask them on a date, to tell them you love them. It's a really big deal to you. And then you get them home, you get to know them, and you realize that there's nothing there. And you may have thought there was, because they were mirroring you. Or they were mirroring someone else, that someone else had them. They had their own guru, giving them their confidence and their power. But who had that other guru? Some other guru. And who had that some other guru? Some other guru. And who had that some other guru? Some ad infinitum in a big circle where the leader is following the follower and the follower is following the leader. And there's no individuality. There's no individual. It's just a hive. There's no one there. It's just Patrick Bateman upon Patrick Bateman upon Patrick Bateman. Just like turtles upon turtles. Just Patrick Batemans upon Patrick Batemans. With nobody. Nobody is ever there. The buck just gets deferred forever. And you're with one of them. You're with a drone. You're with an automaton. And what's that like? And then you could say, I'm really impressive to myself. You could say it's really hot, you know, some really hot sex. But then where do you separate if that's really your root? I mean, really think about the embarrassment, the guilt that you feel getting a hooker. If that's really the route you're going, she's really hot sex here, then why do you feel guilty getting a hooker? And that's what she is, isn't she? Implicitly, by not having a personality, when she says the only thing I have to offer is sex. That's another way of saying, I'm a whore. I don't sell by the hour, I sell by the lifetime. You know, you can marry me. but what I have to offer is only one thing, and it's the only bit of real estate I have, and it's between my legs, and if the price is right, you can mainly pay me in money, but you can maybe pay me in some other form if you're famous or powerful or something. You could be my guard dog. You could be my narcissistic supply. Some form or other. You're going to pay me for this. And well, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But so I turned the video off without any effort. The fourth wall had been broken. I had said, this is, I'm imagining this girl had abused me somehow. I said, this is not hot. I'm seeing, this is a hooker. Certainly it's hot. Okay, obviously I like going to the strip club. I went to the massage parlor. But I got stalked by the girl from the massage parlor. She was nice enough. She had crazy ratio. But, she didn't take care of her diet. She had bad skin. But, not that I would have talked to her anyway, but, I thought, that's not okay. But, anyways, and it wasn't just like acne. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a different texture of skin. Like long-term drinking and smoking, chronic drinking and smoking skin. As a girl, which looks different than a red-faced alcoholic man. And I was like, that's not cool. Okay, you can't be doing that. In my mind I said that, I didn't say it out loud. But she had, crazy ratio. And, so anyways, the fourth wall breaks. I'm about to try to jack off. And I'm going, but this isn't even hot. Now I'm going to have to force it. A minute ago, I had to force myself not to. And that's how I wanted to be. I wanted to be uncontrollable, like a frothing, raging dog. I just can't keep it in my pants. I can't control myself. It's too much. I wanted it to be like that. I wanted it to be fervent, uncontrollable. And now I'm like, here we go. Okay, I gotta simulate the fantasy. But the fourth wall is already broken. I'm already thinking, all I see now is the girl. I don't even see the fantasy anymore. I just see the girl. And the girl just on her own, I actually have to force myself to jack it now, especially after giving myself permission, because I'm a contrarian. So when I say you can't do it, I'm like, now I have to. But when I say you can do it, go ahead, then I'm like, okay, do I want to? And then I was like, no, I don't. And then I thought for the very first time that, do you see how easy it is to not jack it right now? I was like, yeah, it's very not easy. Or like it's very easy to not, that's what I mean. And even when you were having your most fervent slobbering with delight moment, did you see how you had a lot of executive control? Your superego was very in control. Like in this clinical psychology term, I think that's what it means. Like your executive functioning, your prefrontal cortex or whatever, I don't know what it's called. The part of your brain that makes decisions, it's doing very good right now. You're not like an impulsive fiend. You're someone who has a lot of control over yourself right now. Do you remember that after you jack off, you're going to lose all that control? Do you remember that day one is the hardest day to stop jacking? I was like, yeah. And so you're going to feel guilty, you're going to feel regret tomorrow, you're going to feel all kinds of negative emotions. And you're going to have a hard time starting over. It's going to be even harder. And you just got bullied on Reddit. And you're feeling really butthurt. You just got 2,500 people, and not a single person was nice to you. Out of 2,500 people who read it, you got like 6 comments. You got downvoted to 0. And all the comments had like 20 people upvoting them that were being mean to you. And what do you think? Aren't you going to be like really upset after you jack it? Isn't that going to make you feel like you doubt yourself? Don't you need all the strength you can get? I was like, yeah. Yeah. Aren't you going to have a moment of self-doubt if you jack it? You're going to say they're right. Well, you won't say you're crazy, but you'll just feel like broken. You know, have you ever seen the movie at the very end of Get Out, and he's choking the white girl, and then the cops show up, and there's multiple endings, and the cops show up and they just kill him, or he has to explain it, and he knows that it's going to look totally nuts, and it's just overwhelming. You feel so demoralized and so dehumanized that it's like we're the new age slaves. Or we're not out on the fields, but are we? I mean, if you have to work some shitty job you don't like, what's the difference? No matter how good you do, nothing counts. You don't get a promotion. Other people who do worse work than you, they get promoted to a higher rank than you. You don't get money. You have to live in poverty. You don't get a nice car. If you didn't have this happening to you, you could have a nice car. You're significantly poorer than other people. Your rate of homelessness is many times over the rate of other people. Your rate of suicide is many times over the rate of other people. You're sexually abused. You're physically abused. Well, you're not whipped, okay? You don't have lashings on your back. You're not hunted with dogs if you run away. But at the same time, you can't run away. And there's dog walkers everywhere, which could be a reference to the whole slave thing. There's a lot of black TIs who say, I can't believe that there are black gang stalkers. That's the most heinous thing I've ever heard of. This is what they say. This is what I've heard. And so, but personally, I don't go into dichotomous thinking that all gang stalkers are bad. For example, the woman who said, with the cat on her head, she was saying, just shut up or we're going to kill your other cat. But that was the veiled message. The real message she was saying was actually good. So I said thank you to her. I ignored the veiled message because the veiled message is meaningless. But then I responded to the veiled message of someone else. So I think that was just comedy, though. No, I don't think I'd necessarily want the neighbors targeted. I took that back. I may have been feeling angry. For all I know, they already are targeted. And then I thought, I wonder if a bunch of my enemies are targeted, but they don't know it yet. That they couldn't even imagine that it's happened. And they'll find out in the next few years or 10 years or something. Even if it is happening, they won't be able to believe it, that it starts off so covert. And would I wish that on anyone? No, I don't think so. I don't. I don't know what to say. It's hard to say. But would I wish it on our neighbors? I don't think so. I don't think it would help anything. And even if it would be kind of disproportionate. I don't like this part of the conversation right now. I don't like thinking about this or talking about this. I can say that whatever needs to happen to protect me is good. That I want that to happen. And that includes protecting me from karmic law. Like if someone's like, I'm gonna steal your shoes, I'm like, okay, I want you targeted then. Well, if that would hurt me, that they get targeted for stealing my shoes because it's disproportionate, then I'd want to be protected by them not being targeted. So, I took back the comment and I felt kind of nasty about it. I think it's called Talion law, an eye for an eye. It's one of the things in psychopathic, narcissistic abuse, which is called malignant narcissism. A malignant narcissist is someone who is a psychopath and a narcissist. And it creates something totally different. Like hydrogen and oxygen create water. Like a psychopath is hydrogen and a narcissist is oxygen. But a malignant narcissist is water. And what the hell am I talking about again? I don't remember. I think this cooked food really did me in. I just ate my whole pad thai before I came on video here. I'm not sure when it was really heavy. Okay, it was extremely heavy. I was like, oh my fucking god, like I feel drugged right now. I feel really fucking drugged. And I'm not saying Ben Tan drugged it. This is it was really good. Thank you, Ben Tan. It was fucking just the heaviness of eating cooked food after 6 days of eating only raw food. It's really fucking heavy. You know, it's like really fucking heavy. Like you have no idea. Like the way you feel on raw food is so much different. Like fruit, you know, not, you could eat avocados with salt and that's technically raw, and you'll get a similar feeling to eating cooked food, but cooked food really hammers it. But the malignant narcissist, they use Talion law, which is they make you wish death on them for their torture, which is always incognito, which is always veiled, but done by proxy. And so you take their veil as the real meaning. You know, they trick you into offloading the karma somehow. You know, the devil comes from the word accuser, from slanderer. You know, who is a coward, who is operating in the shadows, operating in veils as a deceiver. And so they give you their veiled threat, which means nothing. You know what the veil means. The veil means I'm going to kill you. They might do something real. They might actually assault you. And then they'll give you 1,000 veiled threats. And then they'll wait for you to take those veils as the meaning being what the veil says. And then you'll wish death on them. But then they got you. Because that's disproportionate, you know, apparently, you know, because quantity changes quality too. But, I mean, when someone flicks you in the head 1,000,000 times, that's different than doing it once. But, and you know, in the end, it's just like plain harassment. You know, I'm not really sure what to say. But basically, you wish death on them, or you wish serious harm to come to them. But somehow in your mind, through your empathy and Talion law, which is embedded in the culture, in your psyche, you say, since I wish death on them, I also deserve to die. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but it kind of makes you feel like you're the aggressor, and like it's going to come back on you. Whereas the malignant narcissist doesn't have that. They don't say, well, I'm torturing this person to death and they're going to die and therefore I deserve to die. The malignant narcissist never says that. They just say, it's just your eyes. I'm just going to take your eyes. They already don't have a soul. For you, Talion law hurts you. But for them, Talion law doesn't mean anything. They don't abide by Talion law. And there are people who are above Talion law too. Like Osho, Robert Anton Wilson. They said the Nuremberg was another Holocaust. These people are mentally ill. These people are nuts. These people need an insane asylum. They need to study group psychology. They need to study groupthink and obedience to authority. I went to the malignant narcissist. They don't even care. They're trying to remove your soul to their great delight. And so this one person, she said, "You, my dear, need help." She wrote that as a comment on Quora. And I wanted to respond to her that I would respond to you, but Quora will delete my account for 2 weeks. They'll ban me if I say the response I would like to respond. And then I thought of Talion law. I was like, why are you gonna argue with this person? I mean, really go on the karmic plane here. You could actually treat her like a friend. You could actually say, "What's the help I need?" "Oh, are you a psychologist? Do you know a good psychologist? What is it about what I said?" Now, I'm the first one to say a peer-reviewed study in academia doesn't mean anything. It's just assholes smelling their own farts together in a group. I'm the first one to say that. But, I could say, are you self-educated, or do you have a degree? Because both are valid. How do I need help? I could really use Talion law. I could say an eye for an eye, a massage for a massage. And I could mean it. I could be friendly to this person. On the karmic plane, I'd be sending a message to them that your money is no good here. Your blood is no good here. What do you have? Do you have anything? Are you anyone even? I mean, you're claiming you are. Why did you lie? Why did you waste my time? Do you waste your own time? Is your life a waste? Are you sitting around waiting to die? They answer these questions for themselves. Again, I feel this video fucking sucks. This fucking pad thai did me in. I basically just thought if you don't jack off, it's going to be way easier to not jack off later. I was thinking about doing another water fast, but using electrolytes, which means I can still live. I can still have a life. Water fasting means taking a break from life. If I take electrolytes, I can still go to the volunteer job. I don't have to tell anyone I'm fasting. I can still cut the grass. I can sweat. I can do anything. The only danger of fasting and exercising is that you lose electrolytes. But I can just take these electrolyte supplements. I can cut the grass. I can fucking do anything I feel like. I got plenty of fat. The longest fast Lauren did with a client was 4 months. The longest fast ever was 384 days. You know, I could easily fast more than a month. I could fast for 2 months. I could fast for 2 fucking months. I wanted to say the N-word so bad right now. Like in that kind of tone. Ninja. I could fast for 2 months. Ninja. Okay, I'm not trying to be racist. I listened to a lot of gangster rap growing up. Okay, I'm not trying to like say it in a derogatory way. I'm trying to share in the camaraderie here. You know, like I'm one of the characters in Boondock Saints, and not Uncle Ruckus. Okay. Okay, I'm a wigga. Okay, I hope it doesn't sound bad. And I have a friend who he gets really mad if people say that word. I was like, you know, I say that word just so you know, but I'm not racist. Okay, he's like, yeah, I know you're not racist. He's like, but don't say that. I was like, I only say it to make people angry. And he's like, he's like, really don't say it, because that actually does make them angry. And I'm like, yeah, but only the ones I hate. And he's like, yeah, but you still shouldn't. And I was like, well, you know, yeah, for you, really. Otherwise, I don't care. It wouldn't make me mad if someone said the word cracker. You know, a TI goes through, you know, horrible things. You know, like the equivalent of having to sit at the back of the bus. A TI goes through that. You know, people bump into you. You know, there's nothing you can do. You know, people break into your house. There's nothing you can do. You can't go to the cops. They all know. There's nothing you can do. Like, you know, I don't really see if someone's like, yeah, but it's culturally inappropriate because we've suffered. Yeah, well, we've all, you know, historically, every race has suffered historically if you want to go back in time. And as for where we are right now in these days, like I suffer a lot based on cultural destruction. Culture, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. No, I don't hate gang stalkers. You know, there's like malignant narcissists who are really bad, who when they're gang stalkers, they're really bad. But when just like a normal gang stalker is driving by, you know, I think I could be friends with this person. You know, they're going by me and they're like, vroom, vroom. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. Like they're just being forced to do that. And that was kind of why I kind of retracted it about our neighbors, about wanting them to get targeted, because I think I was kind of angry, and that's why I wanted them to get targeted. And then I thought, if that's not really what you want. And if they're being forced to do that, I thought they're not getting forced. I thought they're doing it on their own volition. And I couldn't quite tell. And so I was angry. And then I thought, well, you don't know. Technically, you just fell into a Italian trap. An eye for an eye. They might be being forced to do it. And so you're wishing something on them that's disproportionate then? So that's bad karma for you. So you should take that back. So I edited the comment and I took it back. And I felt better then. And then I thought, what if I edited it to say don't target them? I love them. They're amazing. Knowing that everyone hates me. And that whatever I say, people will do the opposite of. I was like, oh, you're really zesty, aren't you? I mean, then I thought, what if I'm just saying that because I'm begging for Stu's life? I don't know. I don't like Stu, but I don't want anything bad to happen to him. He has breathing problems. He's going to the vet soon. Anyway. Yeah, I'm pretty medicated over here. It's like I smoked weed. I'm pretty fucked up over here. Cooked food is fucked. Yeah, tonight's not the best video. But water fasting would be fun. That'd be really fun. Especially taking electrolytes. Now that I know electrolytes are my preferred method, water fasting for 2 months. I'll water fast for 2 months. I'll get right down to 135 pounds. I'll get that fucking old shit out. And you know who I'll bet uses electrolytes? Robert Morris. He reminds me of my grandma. Okay, so there's 4 health coaches in my life. There's 4 main health guys in my life. Doug Graham, who hates Lauren. If Lauren goes to an event that Doug is at, Doug won't speak. Doug has copied Lauren verbatim in his books without knowing it, which Lauren points out. Lauren says, I don't know why he hates me so much. Doug Graham is extremely strong. He's like a monkey. Then there's Lauren Lockman. He's the Godfather. He's Jewish. And, that doesn't matter, okay? It's not a religious thing. He's a non-religious ethnic Jew. But actually, he is religious too. He does know the Bible or whatever. He knows all the scriptures. I don't really know about his stance on religious. I think he's non-religious. But he does know all the scriptures. Lauren is, the reason I bring up he's Jewish is because the Jews are the most pragmatic. They're the most, Lauren says things very clearly. You're going to take herbs, herbal remedies. That's retarded. That's just dehydrating you. You're not going to improve on nature. The only methods in nature are water fasting and your species-specific diet, which is fruit and soft, tender, leafy greens. And anything else is just someone selling you snake oil. And so Lauren is like really, really straight to the point. He's like very evidence-based. He's very intelligent. He's like extremely intelligent. And that but anyway, and then there's Dr. Robert Morris, and he worked in the hospital for years, and he's a naturopath doctor. He's kicked right off of YouTube. He's not allowed on YouTube. Okay, that's a certain personality type. Robert Morris, I think he's been to war, and he's fat. He's almost obese because he loves Indian food. And he loves yogurt. And he goes, for all these people out there saying that, oh, what kind of health coach, what kind of naturopath doctor are you? You're obese. He goes, well, I eat yogurt. I can't get enough of that naan bread. We all struggle, and I love, what can I say? I love my fucking food. He doesn't swear, but this is how he talks. He says, it doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. If you got kidney problems, you got to go strict fruit, If you have kidney failure, if you have some chronic disease, you can't afford to do this. I can afford to be fat. I'm sipping on water all day, if you haven't noticed. And he said that some of his employees told him that they were scared. And he's like, I fired them on the spot. I can't have people who are scared working for me. And, it sounds, he's like extreme kind of, but he's also very warm. Like, if you just have one meal of fruit, he's telling you that's so great. You're doing something wonderful. Like, he's so proud. He's like, I'm so proud of you. You're so, and he's told me about the kidneys. First your kidneys fail because they're at the bottom. Then right above them, you got the adrenals. They fail next. Then you have the depression and anxiety. He makes things really simple. The blood, the lymph, the cells, those are the three things in the body. That's all the body is. And, he got kicked off of YouTube for the 2019 for saying what it was. And, he saves people's life left and right. And he tells about all the horror stories of people getting their kidney removed, or then their legs swelling up like an elephant. And he says that when he was on the day 5 of a water fast, and he had to go eat a bunch of Reese Pieces. He's like, I just had to go do it. And then I went right back, and I went right on the fast. And he'll have clients who say, I'm really struggling, and he says, what is it that you want to eat? And they'll say, I really want to eat some meal. And he'll say, well, just go eat it if you have to do that. And then you come back even stronger tomorrow. Your resolve will be even stronger tomorrow. Whereas Lauren, he'd never say that. He'd say, don't ever do that. Easier to be 100% raw than 99% raw. Lauren's always going to tell you, never do that. Don't ever do that. Robert Morris, he says, yeah, do it. Do it. Just do what you can. Don't push yourself harder than you can. Robert Morris is a very grandfatherly-like character. Lauren has never had kids. And so he's very soft in a way. And, he says fasting is the top of the mountain. Morris has a client who did juice fasting for like 2 years, who drank nothing but juices for like 2 years. And so I'm pretty sure, I'm like very sure that Morris would say, if you're going to fast, take electrolytes. I'm sure he'd be all about that. He's into the keto diet. He's into, of course, he's fruit. He says if you want to be healthy, you have to eat all fruit. But sometimes you have to modify things. He ate nothing but oranges for 2 months. Or maybe it was 6 months. I think it was 6 months he ate nothing but oranges. Because he had a friend who had an orange field or orange pasture or something. He's like, I was so high. He's like, I was about to go crazy. I was on the ethereal planes. He talks all about the spirit world. He's all into crystals and going to higher spirit dimensions. And he's all about well, that pretty much sums him up. And then there's finally John Rose. And John Rose is into juice fasting. And I've always said, which one of the, I can heal with any of these guys except for Doug Graham. Doug Graham doesn't get out the mucoid plaque. He doesn't ever talk about that. And the way he fasts people, clearly they can never get it out. He has people drinking very small amounts of water. Doug Graham is not. He's the fourth one. I was wondering, so who's going to help me? Is it Lauren? Is it John? Or is it Robert. I always said Robert reminds me of my grandma a bit, in a certain way. He has like a leather bag. He's into Native Indians. Hi, Stu. Yeah. Hi, Stuart. And, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure Morris would be the one. I'm sure he would know how to fast, too. You know, someone asked him, what's the fastest way to heal? And he said, fasting is the tip of the mountain, but it might be fruit, too. Water fasting is the very top. And so now that I know, you know, just you can get your spread to where it's supposed to be. I mean, I got my spread to, your spread is the difference between your systolic and diastolic pressure. It's supposed to be 50. If it's anything less than 50, you're not getting enough water. And I got it to 50 almost, like I got it to 48, or like, yeah, basically I got it 2 points under. It changes a little bit, like for every 3 points under 120, the spread is supposed to be 1 point under 50. And every 3 points over 120, the spread is supposed to be 1 point over 50. So my spread was supposed to be 48, but it was actually like 46 or 45 or something. And that was really close. You know, normally I never got it that close. When I was water fasting for 25 days, I was always like probably 10 or more points dehydrated. And I was struggling. Like I was literally drinking from morning until night. I was drinking like 8 fucking liters a day, which takes 16 hours a day. Sipping all day with enough energy to do things. I could still get up and go to the bathroom, but it was difficult. Sometimes it was difficult. I mean, I needed to drink more. I needed to stay up longer to drink more water. And now, with just drinking 4.5 liters a day with electrolytes, I can get my spread to fucking, it's a fucking, what's it called? To basically, I can get my spread to 50. So if I drink like 6 liters a day with electrolytes, or 7, which is not that difficult, I can easily drink 7 liters a day, then my spread will be perfect, and I'll feel completely normal. Like no one will even be able to tell I'm water fasting. And I'll also lose a bunch of weight. I'll also get down to like 135 pounds, which I don't really want to be that skinny, but you know, who cares about, it's not like I'm losing muscle. I mean, yeah, you lose a little bit of muscle, but not, you know, mainly I'm losing fat, and who cares about that anyway? You know, the reason I'm skinny is because I don't have any muscle. It's not because I don't have adequate amounts of fat. And the real thing I want to do is get rid of this mucoid plaque. Hi, Stuart. So, yeah, I should call my friend soon and see if he's still my friend. Haven't heard from him in a while. He kind of pissed me off though. He's like, yeah, my female neighbor is coming down. I've been friends with her for a long time. I'm going to go out for a smoke, so you're going to be alone with her for a minute. But I just want you to know, before you're alone with her and I have a really, really good friendship. And I always respect the fact that she has a boyfriend. And I was like, you know, you shoved your boner on my ex-girlfriend's ass unexpectedly. Was that a, you know, what's up with that? Why did you tell me about that? Or something like that. Like, do you think I'm gonna like pull my dick out? And do you think I'm gonna like you know, your neighbor who talked about her big butt in front of me, how big her butt is? Do you think I'm gonna say, oh wow, it really is a big butt. Wow, can I see it up close? Do you think that's what I'm gonna do? Like, do you think I'm not cool? So I had kind of talked about this on YouTube. I had worried he had seen it, and then he was angry. My mom showed me this post of him on Facebook where he was just giving the finger, and he said, talk about me all you want. But, you know, I miss him. I haven't talked to him in a while. Hi, Stubert. Maybe he'll call me again. I don't know. I'm afraid of calling him and he goes, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Maybe something I've said. Which would hurt. You know, I've said a lot of vulnerable things here. Things that they would have eaten me up alive for on Reddit. But I don't care. That was one of the things that happened too. I got my self-love back today after being butthurt on Reddit. I thought none of these people even matter. Like, these people are the devil. Or, you know, as an atheist, these people are bullies. These people are cowards. These people are criminals. Like, these people are the equivalent of racists. These people are literally the equivalent of racists. These are bigots in a group psychology. And the fact that they're in a group doesn't prove that they're right. It proves that they're bullies and cowards, because that's how bullies operate. And I thought, it really doesn't even matter. I wanted validation. I wanted to talk to someone. Someone love me. Would someone be nice to me? Revalidate me, please? I was like, it doesn't even matter. These people don't even matter at all. These people are completely weak. And I don't take pride in being an outlier. I don't take pride in being a black sheep. It's not like some kind of narcissistic thing that I go, I'm just hated because I'm better and I'm superior and fuck them. There is none of that at all. And so what they say, like in narcissistic abuse, they say once you're healed, you won't love the narcissist anymore. Just remember that. That as soon as you're healed, you're going to say, oh, I don't love you at all. You only loved them because you weren't healed. Hi, Stu. You got a lot of problems, Stu. A lot of mental problems. You need a vasectomy. And to be neutered. You need both. Even though the tubes don't lead anywhere. You need them clamped. Stuart. What must it be like for you, Stu? You poor boy. I would never have neutered you, Stu. I would never have neutered Todd. Oh, not ever. There are veterinarians who do vasectomies for animals, you know. I would have loved to have met Todd without his being neutered. I would have loved to have seen what he would have been like. you, Stu. Stu, fuck you. Stuart, you're so gross. Just stamping the couch with your dirty butt. You stinky cat. He stunk like shit the other day. There was shit all over his fur. He had to get washed. Anyways, I don't know what else there is to talk about, really. I'm excited to do a water fast. I'm so fucking excited. I can literally lose 50 pounds in 2 months. Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Get hydrated. Perfect. Absolutely motherfucking perfect. Get some supplements, get some concentrates. Get, it's like a bunch of minerals. It's like all the different trace minerals. Oh yeah, I'll go all out on the minerals. I'll go full fucking allopathy. I'll do the thing that popular science says to do. I'll do it my own way, but yeah, perfect. And the whole point is to get out that old fucking waste. My whole life changed when I took electrolytes. And literally in an instant, I was like, Lauren Lockman isn't God anymore. He had to, there's the most important thing I ever heard him say, this will show you how stupid I am, was that when you play music to water as it's freezing, it changes the shape of the ice crystals to be peaceful or violent, depending on the music. When he said that, I said, now I can disbelieve anything you've ever said. The fact that you believe that is so asinine. It's so nuts. That you can now be wrong about electrolytes. So now I'm going to take electrolytes. What he says is true. ChatGPT will tell you what he says is also true. You can look at it either way. That salt is poison. Inorganic salt needs to be diluted so your body retains water to protect itself from the salt. Your kidneys get a signal, don't pee. Your brain gets a signal, don't send water to your kidneys. Make it stay in your interstitial fluid instead. Just hold on to the water, but don't pee it out. So it's like cheating. But yeah, it changes your blood pressure. And, when you change your blood pressure, that changes everything. I have 120/70 blood pressure now. It made my pulse go up. My pulse was like in the 90s or something. I had it down into the 80s. Soon I would have got it into the 70s, into the 60s. So yeah, this is pretty exciting. Right, Stu? Well, Lauren had a client who got cured of some multiple sclerosis or something through water fasting. Something that medicine says isn't possible. And this person went to some Facebook group or some group online, I think it was a Facebook group, and told everyone, I cured it, I cured myself. And they kicked her out of the group, like the whole gang of them. They're like, yeah, you're crazy, you're nuts, that's impossible. You've clearly never read any medical literature. And, Lauren brings up like 100 years ago, they thought that like drinking hot tar would cure scurvy. Or like, not literally, I'm just making that up, but he's brought up like the timeline of what people believed like 50 and 20 and 100 and 200 years ago. And he shows how it's always completely retarded. And it's no different now. Like the things people believe now are just as retarded. And then like Socrates got killed for corrupting the youth. Osho got killed and, were heavily criticized. Socrates was killed by his own townspeople. The people killing him, they loved him. They tried to delay it. And at some level, I've loved the people who are killing me, or who have really harmed me. Like Louise, for example. She was the only one with the guts to message me on YouTube. And to some extent, I really appreciate her. And then that makes it millions of times harder to forgive her, to see her as a human being. But anyways, the whole world is at war, so I don't know what to say. It makes me want to hide the fact. Makes me feel like crying, but not crying and hiding it. Like boys don't cry. It's a sick feeling. But I still have my goals, like before I met TSF, my goal was to remove this mucoid plaque. It's really fucking hard. And now I'm like, I just found another key. Like it's like a video game. I just found a key. I'm like, oh, I've been looking for this. I've been stuck on this level. I've been stuck on this level for a long fucking time. And now I found the key. Might work. I don't know. So far I got my spread right. 4.5 liters, I got my spread perfect, almost perfect. I know that with 5 liters or with like 6.5 liters, 7 liters a day, I know I'd get my spread perfect, and I know I can do 7 liters a day. And that would be so cool. And I'd like to lose 50 pounds in 2 months too. I'd like to lose 50 pounds of fat in 2 months. Hell yeah. So, you know, when am I going to start? Were you going to think I was going to say, when am I going to starve? Oh, I won't be starving. No, if I really believe I can get this mucoid plaque out, I will do it. I think I got a lot of it. Well, I don't know. I don't know why I think that, but because I have a fucking pot belly. Yeah, I mean, I used to be, yeah, I think I should be fucking hot. You know, I should be fucking hot. And you can't have malabsorption. You know, you want to be a raw vegan, you gotta have not malabsorption. That serpent in the belly, you know, that's called Beelzebub. That's why Jesus fasted for 40 days. He was a Essene. Those are fruit eaters. He fasted to remove that old waste. No, I'm not trying to be like Jesus or something. Okay, this, you know, how do I know that Jesus wasn't a Essene? Because Lauren says. You know, I'm sure Lauren found that somehow. But it wouldn't surprise me. You go to a high, you vibe high when you're on fruit. You know, the higher you vibe, does that make you fit in better? I mean, most people, do they vibe high? Everyone has a shirt that says vibe high, good vibes only. My vibe, my tribe. I know it's popular, but does the average person vibe high? I don't think so. Like, is that going to make you popular to vibe high? I don't think it is. I think it's going to make you very unpopular. Historically, the men who would get all the pussy would be psychopaths. People who are violent, controlling. This is what Sam Vaknin said. And now it's the same thing. Now that women are the owners of society, they're doing the exact same thing that men have. They're emulating the psychopathic man. Men do it with straight up violence. Women do it by enforcing antiquated legislation. Women do it by owning the courts. They've become radically feminized, which is a hot fantasy, you know. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but it's just the excitement of the, you know, it's just a trick. It's a biological trick. That, like, if you put a gun to someone's head, they're going to be really excited. Like, it's extremely stimulating. And then you're transferring that to sex energy. But if you took that away, you know, the woman herself isn't that appealing. So, you know, I gotta check the Femdom forums. I don't think there's gonna be anything new. There's never anything new anymore. No. Anyway, I think I might go. I'm gonna watch the video.
Un Ontario plus sûr, c'est
6 stages of grief after being discarded by a narcissist. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Yeah, SRMBG is pretty hot. I want to get a hot body like that. So, thanks for watching. You know, I hope my hair isn't all fucked. My head, you know, I hope you didn't see my pinhead.